You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, Internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
American way, and we built this country called the USA, and we fly our flag cause we're proud and free, we're Americans. Red, white, and blue is our way of life. Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights, we're Americans. We fish the waters and we hunt the lands. We forge the steel with our own two hands. With what we've got, we do the best we can. We're Americans.
This is Rio of Madison Rising, and you're listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
It's time now for the Conservative Curmudgeon Radio Show. Now, here's Grouchy.
Good evening, everybody. It is so good to be back with you. We're going to try to do this right tonight. Summer is still kicking me. I got the rest of this week and then next week on my summer schedule, and then I go back to normal work hours, and we'll go back to doing things normally, I promise. So anyway, before we get rolling, just want to remind you guys to stay tuned for Jesse's POV following my program tonight right here on KLRN Radio. And then you get a 1 hour break, get your late night snack, get your dessert in, get your drink, come settle back down and spend another hour with Rowdy Rick with America Off the Rails. And then you can call it a night and go to bed. And your learning will be done because we bring the knowledge. So, before we get to the scripted portion of tonight's show, let's check out some headlines from around the world, shall we? Late this afternoon, President Trump announced that he had received trade concessions from European Union officials on soybeans, energy, and tariffs. So already just the threats of tariffs are starting to work. What else is going on? This was good. You may have heard about this. The Oregon high school student that got suspended for wearing his Build the Wall shirt to school, he sued his school system and was awarded $25,000 and a formal written apology from the superintendent. So, yay, freedom of speech. It's always a good thing. Now, we have to delve off here because the next two of these are, well, you'll get it in a second here, but they're way out there. Okay, this is we're dipping into One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest territory. We're going to start with Senator Cory Booker. Yes, Mr. Magic Fingers himself. He is now telling the country, or at least anybody in the country that will bother listening to him, that if you support President Trump's pick for the Supreme Court, that would be Judge Brett Kavanaugh, that you are evil. There are only two choices. You help them fight the good fight, or you are evil. Now, he didn't define what the good fight was, but, that's what he said. So, and then from crazy to crazy-est, Maxine Waters. Step aside, Jake and Elwood Blues. Maxine Waters told the First AME Church in Los Angeles on Sunday morning that she has been sent by God to get Donald Trump. Oh, yeah. For real. She said it.
I have a question.
Oh, sure. Ask away.
Does she have a half a pack of smokes and a full tank of gas?
I don't know, but I know that she doesn't hate Illinois Nazis.
That's good.
And the reason we know that is because
Because she is an Illinois Nazi? I don't know. I'm kind of reaching.
Well, no, because our last president was an Illinois Nazi.
Oh yeah, she was. She was a member of his fan club, so that should count.
That's right. So anyway, Maxine is on a mission from God to get Donald Trump.
I really wish you would have told me you were going to open with that, because I would have so had that clip ready.
Oh, it was such short notice. I just grabbed that like an hour ago, maybe an hour and a half. So
I only need like 5 minutes notice, bro.
I don't want to cause you that kind of trouble on short notice, so I just let it go. But anyway, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, come on, really? I'm on a mission from God. Yeah. Anyway, okay. So last up for the unscripted portion of the show, Zuckerberg. Wow. Facebook stock took a huge hit over the course of not even an hour, just minutes we're talking about. Facebook stock dropped 24%. Now, I know you're thinking, well, that's a lot, but I mean, why is that really news? Well, I'll tell you why it's news, because just what that cost Mark Zuckerberg alone, this is just his stake, 24% of his stake, $16.8 billion, gone in less than an hour. Now, don't feel bad for him. Obviously, he's still got 3 times that in his net worth, and I'm sure that he'll do something and Facebook will recover at least most of that over time. But, I don't feel bad for him, but anybody that takes a $16.8 billion hit in less than an hour, that's got to sting just a little. So anyway, that covers the unscripted headlines from today. And if you give me a second here, we're going to pull right into this. We have a recent poll showing grassroots Republicans' approval of President Trump's performance in Helsinki, despite best efforts of media pundits to trash the president for absolutely everything he did and said. Now, granted, okay, I listened to the presser after the meeting. It was not his finest work on the microphone. He would have definitely graded out probably a C-. But the SurveyMonkey Axios poll, I love SurveyMonkey just because of their name. They asked, do you approve or disapprove of the way Trump handled his press conference with Putin? 79% of Republicans approved. 79%. Now, this was just absolutely unacceptable to Joe Scarborough of MSNBC's Morning Joe, who wanted to know, who the hell are these people? He said that he and his ilk are stunned that President Trump would invite Russian President Vladimir Putin to the United States when Trump's recent meeting in Helsinki was called treasonous by the elites. Again, Scarborough said, who are these people and what have they done to my party? Now, you have to understand, Joe is pandering hard to his fiance / co-host, who is uber liberal. And Joe has shown himself to, he may be a big R Republican, but he does not understand little r Republican politics. And he certainly doesn't understand conservative politics. And don't get me wrong, neither does President Trump, okay? But Joe's not running, President Trump is not running around telling everybody that he is a staunch conservative like Joe is. Joe continued that it's just really shocking that the President of the United States, after being called treasonous by quite a few people in the foreign policy defense community, still trying to clean up the mess that he created when he went to Helsinki and kowtowed to an ex-KGB agent, that he rushes to announce that Putin is coming to Washington before cleaning up the last mess on aisle 7. I know, Joe, you're trying to be clever, but you're really not. You're not. It's just pathetic at this point. I mean, really, all they have is Russian collusion and Trump wears hammer and sickle underwear that Putin has a radio control to. Oh, and he slept with a porn star. Well, you know, can't be outdone by a Republican, can you, Democrats? I mean, Bill Clinton just slept with an intern. So Scarborough gave his own spin to the poll showing that 80% of Americans think it's okay to cower before an ex-KGB agent to insult allies. You do wonder, is it just a Donald Trump problem now? Or is this a problem that's cast party-wide now, Joe said. Scarborough warned that support for Trump will ultimately destroy the Republican Party. Like, you know anything about the Republican Party other than, maybe joining the Lido deck crew on the cruise. Now, joining the chorus, contributor John Heilman said, I think the corruption and bankruptcy of the Republican Party has been a long time in the making, but there is no Republican Party anymore in any sense that you would have defined the Republican Party 10 years ago in the way that you would have what the Republican Party stood for, at least in the post-World War II era. He said it's become the party of Donald Trump. Now, before we go on, let's be clear here for a minute. There is a faction on the right that is absolutely the party of Donald Trump. It doesn't matter what he does. But that's not everybody on the right. And it's important to know the difference. And it's also important to know that you can disagree with President Trump and not hate him at the same time. Okay? You have to be able to draw distinctions between being against a policy and being against a person. Now, Heilman continued, so in a thorough way, we've seen this is not just in the polling, the startling polling in relation to how Republicans now have seen the performance of Donald Trump in Helsinki, presumably how they will see his invitation now of Vladimir Putin to come to Washington and to give him the ultimate kind of, rather than to chastise him, rather than to criticize him for Russia's role in meddling in an American election, he's given him the ultimate kind of cherry on top of a sundae, he said. This is a thing that a Russian president would want most of all to get. No, that's not what a Russian president wants most of all to get. What a moronic statement, okay? I don't even get these people sometimes. I get being against Trump's policies. I get not liking the man on a personal level if that's what you feel like you need to be, okay? What I don't get is the incessant whining and creation of narratives that don't exist and then pushing them like the world can't live without them. They're just putting their ignorance on grand display. So, Scarborough continued on. It goes to Republicans, though. Rank and file Republicans, 75-80% saying they liked what he did in Helsinki, when even, again, his closest allies in the media said he was either treasonous or a complete dupe. He doesn't have a lot of allies in the media, so I don't know who you're talking about here. Who are these people that I grew up with that were the most staunch and the toughest on Russia, that fought the Cold War alongside with NATO, when the Soviets' goal during the Cold War is the same goal that Vladimir Putin has now, which is to disrupt Western democracies and break up NATO. The goal is identical to what Republicans always supported. You talk about trade. 73% of Republicans are telling pollsters that they think tariffs are good for America. Well, maybe if they're used in a way to balance out trade, I can see how a temporary tariff could be good. But no, tariffs are not generally good. Okay? Now, again, Scarborough he couldn't even get a hold of himself. He said it was like political body snatchers, and he kept asking, who are these people? And then Heilman chimed in again. These are the people who now call themselves the Republican Party. The people who you think of as having constituted the Republican Party in your life growing up in the party, they are now either no longer in the party or they are in a kind of weak and craven way sitting on the sidelines and wringing their hands over what Donald Trump has done to the party, but not really doing much about it. Some of them are speaking out, some of them are not. But the rank and file of the party now, the grassroots of the Republican Party, are the people who believe what Donald Trump believes. No, it's not. It's not, and I see enough of it every day. You know, your little Survey Monkey polls can tell you one thing, and you can interpret that to mean whatever it is you want it to mean. That doesn't mean that it's true. Okay? Now, Republicans believed in the post-World War II era. They don't believe in free trade. They don't believe in immigration. They don't believe in standing up to Russia now, apparently. No, see, we do believe in immigration. We don't believe in illegal immigration. We do believe in free trade. We do not believe in people manipulating currencies against our trade to advantage themselves and disadvantage us. Don't believe in standing up to Russia? Okay, let's stop here for a minute. Okay, when I was growing up, we used to stand in the bleachers in high school when they played the national anthem. At the very end of it, a group of us, a decent-sized group, about 12 or 15 of us, led by a pair of twins of Russian descent, would scream, "Better dead than red." Okay? This is back before Glasnost. This was back before this, when it was the Soviet Union, before all the independent states broke off and left it just Russia and now Crimea. But don't tell me we don't know how to stand up to Russia. By the time I finished with high school and by the time I had gone into the military, the Soviet Union was no more. Do we believe in NATO? Yeah, we believe in NATO. We believe that NATO members should live up to their agreements. And that is 2% of their GDP to defense. You've got countries in NATO not doing that. Maybe you should ask them if they believe in NATO. And if so, why don't they hold up their end of the bargain? So you think that's not what the Republican Party is anymore, huh? So this is all MSNBC, Morning Joe ignorance in its full glory. Now, Scarborough said for the last 2 decades, he could go to any Lincoln-Reagan dinner across America, and you could say the same thing wherever you went, and you'd get the applause. Now, according to these polls, it's not even a split. Now, 80% of Americans are fine with Donald Trump kowtowing to an ex-KGB agent who wants to destroy our allies and wants to disrupt our elections. And you look at this poll, and they support tariffs. And again, he started, what the hell, who the hell are these people? What is wrong with these Republicans? Where is my party? Yeah, your party of the early 50s is gone, Joe. It is. It's gone. Republicans are different today. It's true. So the point is that what Trump has done is he has splintered things. And that's, it hurts to watch from a standpoint of being part of the history of it. It does hurt to watch a little bit, but at the same time, we're slowly from the third party system and make this a viable party. So anyway, that's where we're heading, I think. And again, I'm not saying that it's good or bad. It's different. And maybe it's about time for different. The founders had an idea for this country. Okay? And we've gotten so far away from that. So far away from what the founders intended for this country to be. They drafted up these silly documents that the left considers like sponges. They're living organisms that need to be changed. No, they don't need to be changed. What they need to be is adhered to. Again, legal immigration, fair and equitable trade. These are the hallmarks of the Republican Party. These are what we still want. It's not that we don't want immigrants in our country. My family is immigrants, with one exception. Three of my grandparents, well, two of my grandparents were actually direct immigrants from other countries, which makes me second-generation American. I have on the other side of the family one grandparent who was Native American, which gives me some street creds for being domestic. And the other was here for generations. His family was here for generations, going back to at least the 1600s. So my family history is so varied. I just want the founding documents adhered to. That's all my family ever did. They came out just fine. No, not everybody in the world gets to come here. Well, that's just too bad. That's how it is. They're not our problem to solve. They have a home. They have a country. Fix it. Make it what you want it to be. Don't run away from it just because it gets a little tough. All right, we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to be back in a few minutes, and we're going to ramp up some more Trump stuff here. So do yourself a favor. Stay tuned. We'll punch it in the mouth here in a minute. Or two.
But ain't that America for you and me? Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm. but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Oh, but ain't that America? You and me. Ain't that America? Something to see, baby. Ain't that America? Home of the free, yeah.
All right, welcome back. Just a quick reminder, Jesse's POV coming up right after me. Then you get a 1-hour break, and then it's Rowdy Rick with America Off the Rails. Okay, so what else is going on with the president? Well, he's looking into revoking some security clearances. You may have heard about this. As many as 6 former Obama administration security officials, because they have politicized and in some cases monetized their clearances, according to Sarah Huckabee Sanders. So Sanders said the clearances are under review, belong to the former Obama intelligence officials, CIA directors John Brennan and Michael Hayden, Director of National Intelligence James Clapper, National Security Advisor Susan Rice. She also disclosed the credentials of former FBI Director James Comey and his former number 2, Andrew McCabe, were also under review. However, Comey said Monday that he no longer had access, and McCabe lost his clearance when Attorney General Jeff Sessions fired him in April. So Trump fired Comey last year. The press secretary listed the names in response to a question when it was asked by John Gizzi of Newsmax about calls for Brennan's revocation earlier Monday, made by Senator Rand Paul. And Sanders said that the president is exploring the mechanisms to remove the security clearances because they've politicized and in some cases monetized their clearances. And this was at the daily briefing on Monday. So making accusations of improper contact with Russia, it's extremely inappropriate, said Sanders. And the fact that people with security clearances are making baseless charges provides inappropriate legitimacy to accusations with zero evidence. So Senator Paul, earlier on Monday, took to Twitter to demand Brennan's access to classified information be revoked because of his role in preparing intelligence reports on Russian meddling in the 2016 election, and because he remained fiercely critical of the White House. Now, Brennan slammed Trump's performance in last week's meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin as treasonous and said he was wholly in the pocket of Putin and that his performance exceeded the threshold for impeachment for high crimes and misdemeanors. Weeks before Trump was inaugurated president in January of 2017, Clapper oversaw the preparation of a report by the nation's intelligence agencies that Putin had ordered operatives to interfere in the November election. Okay, let's stop here for a minute. Let's just stop right here for a minute, and let's talk about this meddling in elections. Because this is not something that just Russia does. And it's not just something that other countries do. The United States meddles in lots of elections. Lots and lots of elections. We have people in other countries that we like better than others that we want to see get elected. And sometimes we take covert actions to try to influence that election to fall in the favor of the way we want it to be. Okay? That's just how politics and security and intelligence games are played. It's not something new. It's not something special. Okay? People, let me ask you something. Did you see an ad on Twitter or Facebook leading up to the election that you read and went, holy crap, I have to change my vote because of this? Because if you did, if you are a person that saw an advertisement and that changed the way you vote without doing any research to substantiate the claims for or against whichever candidate it was for or against, you're an idiot. I love you, but you're still an idiot. But you have to understand, this is not just a Russian game. We play it too. The trick is to keep yourself educated about the issues. Okay? You do that, everything's going to be cool. So, anyway, Clapper, he briefed Obama and Trump, who was president-elect, on the findings. And Clapper also said he had disclosed to Trump information about an unsubstantiated dossier of incriminating information. Now, Trump fired Comey, who was heading the Russia probe, in May of 2017. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein then named Robert Mueller to head the investigation via special counsel. Sessions let McCabe go this past April over the unauthorized release of information to the media and not being forthcoming with the Justice Department investigators and how the FBI handled the Hillary Clinton email inquiry. McCabe briefly helmed the FBI after Trump fired Comey, and he abruptly took leave in January after the Justice Department's Inspector General completed a report about his actions that eventually led to his firing. Comey, in a pair of tweets to Benjamin Witz of the Brookings Institute, said nope when asked whether he still had security clearance. So both Hayden, who also headed the NSA, and Rice have been critical of the Trump administration's diplomatic efforts since leaving office. In response, Clapper slammed Sanders' announcement as a sad commentary and an abuse of the system. So here's a question for Mr. Clapper. Of course, I'll never get an answer on it because there's no way he'll ever answer this. But for Mr. Clapper, I would ask, if it's an abuse of the system and you don't have clearance after you retire or are fired, what difference does it make if you don't have access anymore? See, I'm somebody that worked in a field in the military that dealt with security clearances. And not only are clearances to be taken very seriously, but literally, when an officer gets promoted out of the department and takes on new responsibilities elsewhere, if he's not privy to that information anymore, he does not have clearance to that information anymore. His security clearance can change. It can be downgraded. I mean, everybody in the military has a base level security clearance. I mean, I believe it's a secret level. It's not top secret. It's not classified. It's not eyes only. But you can be downgraded when you change jobs in the military. This is normal. When you leave the military, you do not keep your security clearance. I cannot pick up the phone and call somebody and say, this is blah, 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 and I have my security clearance. This is my authorization. I need some information on whatever. No, it doesn't work that way. But yet, we see people like Clapper and Brennan and Comey going on television talking about classified information. Where are they getting it? If they're getting it because they still have contacts that are violating their security clearances, giving the information out, let's find out who these people are and let's can them. If they're getting it because they're abusing still having a security clearance and using it to weaponize against the president to cause the same kind of meddling that they're accusing Russia of, well, let's revoke it. Typically, there would be a formal notification that your clearance is being suspended. Okay, so whether it's that you're under investigation because of allegations, because something that would merit revocation or at least suspension, there is a formal process for this. But again, we're talking about people that have either resigned, retired, or just were fired. So if they're no longer part of the process, what's the harm in suspending or revoking the clearances? I mean, how does it abuse the system when Clapper himself admits that the president has the authority to suspend or revoke clearances as he sees fit? How is it an abuse of the system? Who's being abused and how? I saw some idiots screaming that this was a violation of their First Amendment rights. You don't have a right to a security clearance. You don't have a right to classified data. You got the right to sit down, shut the hell up, and do what you're supposed to do according to the law. That's what you got a right to do. So anyway, that's going on currently. We'll keep our eyes on that because it'll be fun. If President Trump actually does revoke their security clearances, you'll be able to hear the heads exploding no matter where you are in the country. There'll be like a train across the country of liberal heads just exploding everywhere. So anyway, enough of that. Let's get on to something that I had a nice chat about last night on Twitter. Our Congress, has appropriated $126 billion for Afghanistan reconstruction since fiscal year 2002. Okay, this is per the Special Inspector General John Sopko, not Spoko, in testimony delivered in May to the Senate Subcommittee on Federal Spending Oversight and Emergency Management. By 2014, he added, inflation-adjusted appropriations for that purpose had already exceeded the total of U.S. aid committed to the Marshall Plan for rebuilding much of Europe after World War II. Unbelievable. So much money spent so fast inevitably generates many examples of projects poorly or wastefully executed. In other words, our tax dollars being flushed down the toilet. So Afghanistan reconstruction, no exception here. As the ongoing work of Sopko's office of the Inspector General for the Afghanistan reconstruction makes clear, here are a few of the most head-smackingly absurd wastes of money. So according to the Special Inspector General, by the way, if you've never been part of the military, acronyms are some of the coolest things. Okay, really. Some of them are just dumb and they don't make any sense. But this one, the Special Inspector General for Afghanistan Reconstruction, is called SIGAR. So, according to a 2015 SIGAR study, the U.S.-funded Task Force for Business and Stability Operations spent $43 million to construct a compressed natural gas automobile filling station in the city of Shahburgan, Afghanistan. A similar station in Pakistan, right across the border, cost no more than $500,000 to construct, making the Afghan counterpart some 86 times as expensive. Yet the DoD was unable to provide an explanation of the high cost of the project or to answer other questions concerning its planning, implementation, or outcome.
You mean like the fact that there aren't even any CNG cars in Afghanistan?
Dude, I don't even think they built a Buc-ee's with this.
This is Jen and I actually talked about this on Jen and Rick's show like a long time ago. They spent like millions of dollars on this thing. There aren't even any CNG cars in Afghanistan.
There you go.
None.
Okay. And well, guess what else there is? Guess what else there isn't at this CNG automobile filling station? There aren't any working pumps.
Okay, so that's new. They didn't talk about that in the article that I read a long time ago. So I guess this story is just getting from bad to worse.
Well, yeah, and those who decided to spend those millions didn't seem to realize, here we go, that Afghanistan lacks the natural gas transmission and local distribution infrastructure necessary to support a viable market for CNG vehicles, to your point, sir. Or that the cost of converting a gasoline-powered car to run on CNG may be prohibitive for the average Afghan. Not that it matters, because even if you converted it, you can't get CNG at this station because there's no working pumps.
We're going to convert this to a CNG car, but it's going to be Camel because we can't use the gas because there's no pumps.
That's right. That's right. Put some extra padding on your sandals. You're going to be pushing it. So, Cigar study concludes that it's not clear why they believed the CNG filling station project should be undertaken. In fact, an economic assessment impact study performed at the request of TSBSO found that the CNG filling station project produced no discernible macroeconomic gains and a discounted net loss of $31 million. Still, that's $12 million that they're saying was legit and 31 really not. When you can build the same station across the border 300 miles away for $500,000. Okay. So anyway, what's next? Yeah, there's more. Trust me, there's more. Cigar also reported that U.S. Central Command had in 2012 constructed a dry fire range in Wardak province for the Afghan Special Police Training Center at a cost of nearly $500,000. Now, the project replicates a typical Afghan village and is used to conduct simulated police search and clearance exercises. Okay, that makes sense because we do want these people to be able to start policing themselves and doing it the right way to maintain law and order. Okay, within 4 months of completion, the dry fire range began to quote unquote disintegrate. The report explains that these melting buildings were the direct result of the construction contractor using substandard bricks and other building materials. Unsurprisingly, this problem was compounded by poor oversight on the part of the responsible officials. The incompetent contractor was paid in full a total of $456,669, even though the range was not constructed according to contract requirements, and as a result, water penetration caused the walls to fall apart. So you get a rainstorm and your whole town falls apart. Brilliant. That's the guy I want building my house, right? So agents of the Regional Contracting Center at Forward Operating Base Schenck, who directed the project, claimed to have conducted inspections during the construction, yet a review of site reports turned up no reference to any of the building deficiencies that resulted in the DFR's deterioration. Only after the range was finished and paid for did an inspector realize that the facility is completely unsafe, and it appears that the contractor intentionally used different substandard materials to cut cost and increase profit margin. So there you go. Next up, the uninhabited, which, okay, I can see it being uninhabited, but here's why it's uninhabited, because it's uninhabitable. The $60 million Marriott Hotel complex in Kabul. Now, 11 years after a plan was launched with $60 million from the U.S. government's Overseas Private Investment Corporation, OPIC, not OPEC, OPIC, Sergio Gorshiev to staff to Senator Chief of Staff to Senator Rand Paul, who chaired the May hearings on Afghanistan reconstruction waste, visited the site. He said, "I walked the halls of this deserted, unfinished shell of a dream," he said. The structure featured barren rooms, empty elevator shafts, no electricity. The hotel and adjacent apartment building planned by the same developer for $30 million more from OPIC today are uninhabitable. Despite being abandoned, the would-be Marriott remains a drain on U.S. funds. Our government now spends an unknown amount every week to protect these multi-story buildings because of how close they are to America's embassy. Unbelievable. The failed hotel structure now requires 24/7 security from both us and Afghan security forces. Its proximity to our embassy makes it a very dangerous building. If left unattended, it could be used to orchestrate attacks, launch RPGs at U.S. personnel. People on the ground told Gore that the embassy was seeking to acquire the land, demolish the infrastructure, and start anew because we haven't spent enough money on it already. This real estate project, far too typical. Far too typical. I'd like to take more time with it, but let's see. We got to press on here. Cigar also noted that the medical record keeping by the Afghan National Army is unreliable and often inaccurate, despite, get this now, get this, $68 billion in an overall ANA support from the United States. In 2012, The Atlantic calculated that the U.S. government had been spending about $46,000 per Afghan soldier each year. As a result, between January and July of 2017, approximately 15,400 new ANA recruits did not have their blood type tested or verified before entering the Afghan National Army ranks. And the blood type of at least 9% of the total Afghan force currently remains unconfirmed, despite $68 billion in support. Moreover, the Afghan army lacks any official system of records that track the medical data of its recruits. This may seem small, but it matters because it means the government has no idea which soldiers have had their blood screened. Talk about some critically important information. You're talking about the success of blood transfusions for wounded soldiers that could be required in the field at a moment's notice. Okay? You don't get it if you haven't been there and you haven't seen it. You just don't understand. You're talking about infectious diseases. They don't know who's clean and who's not. This could decimate their ranks. So we have also dangerous schoolhouses. Cigar alerted USAID that educational projects it co-funded in Baghlan province have at least 2 instances led to hazardous situations. One boy's high school is in danger of collapsing and poses a serious danger to students, teachers, and anyone else in or near the building. A second school building in the same province was in a similar condition, but much of the structural damage there resulted from significant blast damage, which according to interviews was caused by local criminal elements. Well, at least that's something. We didn't screw the entire pooch on that. We have futile opium eradication. We've spent about $8 billion specifically to eradicate opium poppies in Afghanistan since the U.S. has been there. And according to reports from the Special Inspector General on Afghan Reconstruction, from 2008 to 2018, over 3,520 interdiction operations have resulted in the seizure of almost 500,000 tons of opium. Okay, so that might sound impressive, but those seizures amount to about 5% of the opium produced in Afghanistan just in 2017. So we got 5% of last year's take in a 10-year period. Now, what does that mean we've gotten? That would mean we've gotten about, let's see, that's 5% in 1 year. You break that down over, that's a 0.5%. We've gotten 0.5%, 1/2 of 1% of the opium produced. We've eradicated 0.5% for $8 billion.
I hate to do this to you, brother, but it's 8 o'clock. We gotta go.
It's 8 o'clock. Gotta go. Sorry, I ran late.
Never back down from a challenge or a fight. Nature provides, God gives the rights. We're Americans.